Legend is the third full-length album from atmospheric black metal band Fellwarden. This is primarily a solo project, but it does involve multiple members, and this record is a particular shift after two releases that were much more focused on maybe initially a Cascadian style of black metal and that kind of atmospheric black metal type. It was more interest in the awe of nature and the majesty of that. The second record seemed to me taking things in a more fantastical direction, but also appreciating place and purpose, whereas this third record focuses on the literary work of fantasy author David Jamel, who wrote an influential fantasy novel named Legend, I believe back in the 80s. I don't remember. I actually read the book for this, but I don't remember the date. And essentially, what I would consider more of a standard high fantasy type story. It is a welcoming story. It does have very strong and simple characters and a lot of exposition throughout every scene. And so this is something nostalgic, memorable, and also epic in its span across several books, and that influenced this record in a direct way. That makes for a tonal shift, because following the events of the book and some of the big scenes in the book means that all of a sudden Fellwarden is able to get bigger and more expressive in different ways. So there's a choral presence on this record, there's bigger songs. No longer are they kind of enrobed in this kind of Falkenbach-esque quaintness, and now they're reaching a little bit bigger than that, if you will, without going full folk metal. And they do so with some pretty great musicians in the band at this point. Alistair Dunn of Ashenspire is particularly impressive, just in general in everything he does. And let's cut to a song here and just get an example of how it sounds before again I get too carried away talking about it. So the big thing to say about this record is that not only does it get more into high fantasy literature for its themes, we also get a heavy metal record in some sense. We get songs that kick into heavy metal strides, that have bigger riffs, that have a traditional sort of register to them, and that the way that all kind of funnels together is something a little bit like Midnight Odyssey minus too much of a focus on the keyboards, and we get something that feels like epic metal, but also feels like modern atmospheric black metal as well. And not the meandering type, but sort of the majestic type. And I think if you're a fan of bands like Turia and things like that, you'll appreciate the instrumentation here, and of course Winterfelleth and groups like that. But this is maybe something that goes a little bit further in other directions and puts on kind of a big show that's worthy of its themes. I like that there's a little bit of a touch of heavy metal in there to keep it feeling like we're in that fantasy, that high fantasy action. I like this record quite a bit. You know, of course I stumble upon my words a little bit trying to describe the grand scope of it, but it was a great listen, and I appreciated the last record from this band quite a bit, and it feels like this expands even more into something that is less focused on internalizations and more on presenting a big story and something that's inspired and inspiring in its register. So check it out if that's your kind of thing. It released on June 14th.